Yo, let's go and welcome to the video. This is what I'm considering my best in slot to go from phase 1 into phase 2. The main things I want to point out: I have 12% hit because I am Alliance and I'll be in a group with a Giant Eye Shaman that gives me the 1% racial hit and the 3% from the totem. So I only need to really have 12%. In Boomkin form, I'll have around 21% crit, and my spell power for all schools of damage is going to be 1148. Got 8500 mana and 213 spirit. Spirit really helps out with Innervate, so having more spirit is really going to help Innervate get you your mana back. This isn't going to be the only gear that I have. I'll have multiple pieces for most of these slots, but overall this is the set that I would like to get to use the most. I'll get the Spell Strike hood. I am a tailor, but the tier 1 helmet has the meta socket. It's got spirit, way more intellect. So for mana regen and mana pool wise, the tier 1 is a solid choice, I think. For the next, there's not many to choose from. I'll try to get both to swap out the hit if I need, or if it drops before other pieces that I need hit from, I can have this. But the Adornment of Souls is what I want to end up having. For shoulders, we got the tier 1 shoulders. No real other options to choose from. For the cloak, I'm not doing world bosses. At least I don't think so. So the Ancient Spell Cloak I won't have to choose from. I might try to get the Ruby Drake just to have that hit again to swap out if needed. But if I don't need the hit, then I'll get the Brute Cloak for that extra crit. The tier 1 chest, I'll have the Spellfire as well. So I have the Bracers of Havoc. The Martial Silk Cuffs I think are only maybe Mage and Warlock. I didn't see these on the vendor when I went. The weapons, if you're going for spell power like I am for most of the pieces, Mind Blade is the way to go. It's got 203. All the staffs don't even have 200 by themselves. So we're getting 203 from the main hand, and then the offhand on top of that. I'm just going to get the knapsack to start with. I will probably end up getting the talisman just to go along with the spell strike set, just in case to mess around with it for the huge starfire crits. For the gloves, again, not doing world bosses. I'll have the spellfire. I'll get the hand wraps of flowing thought if I can for the hit, but I'll end up with the Soul Eater's hand wraps for the spell power and crit. For legs, I won't be doing Kazakh, so I will have Spell Strike and Trial Fire. And boots, won't have the Gold Leaf, but I will have the Boots of Foretelling and the Ruby Slippers for that hit just to swap out if I need. Rings, I'll try to get the Band of Crimson Fury. Again, it's got a hit, but the Ring of Recurrence and Violet Signet both have spell power crit. Most of my hit will be coming from gems, so hopefully I can get as many Shining Fire Opals as possible to swap out those hit pieces for crit. The trinkets, I have the tier from Classic, so I'll have that to swap out for the hit as well if needed, but I want to have these spell power and on-use trinkets so I can use them every 45 seconds. For the idols, I'll have the Starfire, the Wrath, and maybe the Idol of the Raven Goddess if the casters in my guild are asking for me to get it to try out, but I don't think 20 spell crit is even 1%, so I don't think it's really worth it for me. For the enchants, I am Aldor for the 18 spell power shoulder enchant with 10 crit instead of the Scryer 15 crit 12 spell power. I'm an enchanter as well, so I'll have the 12 spell power on my rings. The cloak enchant, you could get subtlety if you are having threat issues, but hopefully I'm not, so I'll have the 20 spell pin. So overall I have everything for spell power and crit. I didn't want to stack arcane damage since I plan on using Wrath and Insect Swarm in my rotation a lot, so I don't want to gimp those two spells to buff the other two arcane spells and sacrifice all the intellect and spirit from the tier set and other pieces. So there's a lot of gear to get, a lot of stuff to try. I do want to try to get as much arcane damage as possible with the offhand and the tailoring sets just to see how big of a starfire I can get, but overall I want to keep it raw spell power instead of strictly arcane. Got my first Karazhan tomorrow night, so hopefully I can get a couple of these pieces before going into Gruul and Mag in about 10 days on the 15th. So let me know in the comments if you plan on just going for the Spell Strike and Spellfire sets right off the bat and aren't even planning on getting the tier 1? Are you going to get the arcane offhand instead of the knapsack? Did you choose to go leatherworking and you're going to get the Windhawk bracers? What trinkets do you plan on getting? I think this same kind of strategy I'll be using for Prebis as well, trying to get pieces that have hit and spell power, and also ones that have crit and spell power. In case I do get that 12% cap, I can switch pieces around. So coming up with a Prebis list is kind of weird, but in case you like that style that I went with the best in slot and you want to see what I would have for a Prebis list, I'll leave a link for this in the description. This is mainly for if you just joined a server leveled to 70 and you're required to have like your Prebis to even raid. This is what I would go for here. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.